In the late 1960s, America was obsessed with speed. Muscle cars ruled the streets, NASCAR ruled Sunday afternoons, and every major manufacturer believed one thing above all else: if you won on the track, you would win in the showroom. Horsepower wasn't just a number, it was identity, pride, and marketing all rolled into one. But one car pushed that idea further than almost anything Detroit had ever built. A Mustang so extreme, so purpose-built, that it was never meant to be practical, comfortable, or even profitable. It existed for one reason only: to win races. And just as it was getting started, the rules changed. This is the story of the Mustang Boss 429, a car engineered for domination, sacrificed to politics, and forgotten in garages and backyards before becoming one of the most valuable Mustangs ever made. By 1967, the Mustang had already conquered America. It was stylish, affordable, and fast enough to make young buyers feel invincible. You could see them everywhere: parking lots, drag strips, high school campuses. But Ford wanted more than popularity. Ford wanted championships. NASCAR was the battleground, and Chrysler, Dodge and Plymouth were showing up with massive engines that dominated long tracks, while Ford's existing big block struggled to keep up at sustained high speeds. They needed something radical, something that could stare Chrysler's legendary Hemi straight in the eye and not blink. That meant building an engine not for the street, but for survival at full throttle, lap after lap. Deep inside Ford's racing division, engineers were already working on that weapon. It wasn't designed for traffic lights or weekend cruises. It was designed to live at 7,000 RPM. The engine was called the Boss 429, and it was unlike anything Ford had ever put in a production car. This was a NASCAR engine first and a street engine second. It featured semi-hemispherical combustion chambers, massive aluminum cylinder heads, enormous valves, and a bottom end. But this engine wasn't meant to be friendly. It was meant to breathe, to move more air than Ford's existing big blocks and challenge Chrysler's Hemi head. But engineering brilliance collided. NASCAR rules required engines to be based on production cars. If Ford wanted to race it, they had to sell it. That meant taking this enormous, race-bred engine and somehow fitting it into a Mustang, a car never designed to hold. What followed was one of the strangest engineering compromises in automotive history. Ford outsourced the work to CarCraft, a specialty manufacturer in Michigan. Regular Mustangs rolled off Ford's assembly line and were shipped straight to CarCraft, where they were shock towers were modified, front suspensions were relocated, battery trays were moved to the trunk. Nearly everything under the hood was re-engineered just to make the Boss 429 physically fit. From the outside, it still looked like a Mustang. Underneath, it was something else entirely. This wasn't mass production. It was a loophole car, a homologation special built to satisfy a rulebook, not customers. On paper, the Boss 429 Mustang didn't look impressive. Ford officially rated it at 375 horsepower, the same as other big block Mustangs of the era. But everyone knew that number was fiction. Insurance pressures, emissions concerns, and internal politics kept the official rating low. In reality, the Boss 429 made far more power, especially at high RPM where it was designed to live. But that power came with trade-offs. Below 3,000 RPM, the engine felt lazy. It idled rough. It hated traffic. But above 4,000 RPM, it transformed, screaming like a race motor finally waking up. This wasn't a drag strip bruiser. It was a high-speed endurance engine, designed for long NASCAR straights where engines lived at redline for hours. From 1969 to 1970, Ford built just over 1,300 Boss 429 Mustangs. Every single one lost Ford money. They were incredibly expensive to build, expensive to sell, and difficult to maintain. Dealers hated them. Customers didn't understand them. Many sat unsold for months, sometimes years. And just as Ford finished jumping through every hoop to make the car, rules shifted. Aerodynamics came under scrutiny. Displacement limits evolved. Speeds were becoming dangerous, and NASCAR wanted control. Chrysler's winged cars were restricted. Innovation was being reined in. The era of wild homologation specials was ending, and the Boss 429 was caught in the collapse. The Boss 429 never got the chance to fully dominate the way Ford intended. While the engine saw limited NASCAR use, it never achieved the mythic on-track success its engineering promised. On the street, it wasn't friendly. It overheated in traffic. It consumed fuel at an alarming rate. Replacement parts were rare even when the cars were new. Many owners realized quickly this Mustang wasn't fun in the way a Mach 1 or Boss 302 was, so they parked them. Some traded them. Others stripped the engines for drag cars or race builds, leaving empty shells behind. This is how legends disappear, not in glory, but in confusion and neglect. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, Boss 429 Mustangs quietly vanished into garages, barns, and backyards. At the time, they were just used cars with big engines and bad manners. Muscle cars fell out of fashion. Fuel economy mattered. Emissions rules tightened. No one imagined these cars would one day be priceless. Many were modified. Some were wrecked. Some rusted behind sheds. Others survived by pure luck, hidden away while performance took a back seat to practicality. They became backyard legends without anyone realizing it. Then, in the 1990s, something changed. Collectors finally understood what the Boss 429 really was. Not just a rare Mustang, but a rolling piece of racing history. A car built backward from a race engine instead of forward from a street platform. A symbol of the last era when manufacturers bent reality just to win. Values exploded. Cars once ignored suddenly crossed auction blocks for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Today, original, numbers-matching Boss 429s can sell for over $1 million. The irony is impossible to ignore. A car nobody wanted became one of the most desirable Mustangs ever built. Technically, the Boss 429 Mustang was never perfect. It didn't dominate NASCAR. It wasn't the fastest Mustang in a straight line. It wasn't comfortable, efficient, or easy to own. But it represented something far more important. A moment when engineers were allowed to be dangerous. That spirit doesn't exist anymore. Modern racing is controlled by regulations and spreadsheets. The Boss 429 came from a time when rules were something to be exploited, not obeyed. Somewhere right now, there are still Boss 429s hiding, untouched for decades, sitting quietly in garages and backyards. Not because they were loved, but because they were misunderstood. The Mustang Boss 429 wasn't built to be loved. It was built to win. And that's exactly what makes it legendary.